Hey, all you flirting with reality fans. I am Carol, and this is my sexy husband, Eric. And we are here this fine Thursday to flirt with reality.
Yeah. So we're going to switch things up a little bit because, well, we didn't really look too deep into it, but we had a couple more views on our last podcast and we're losing viewers at 3 minutes in. So we're guessing that makes this look like we're not being interesting in the beginning. So instead of being like, hey, how's your day? How's your week and everything? We're just going to get into it. And so something that I was wanting to talk about today that I think we've all been dealing with. I shouldn't say you and I have definitely been feeling it, but it's this I can't get anything done. Like feels like there's so many roadblocks
Yeah.
to getting things done. But well, so for example, you and I talked about being on Facebook and Instagram and trying to run a business on there, and like how Facebook doesn't have customer service,
Yeah.
Instagram doesn't have customer service, TikTok doesn't have customer service, and it's like you just run into these roadblocks and you can't get anything done, and you don't know what to do, and you just know what to talk to.
Yeah, you're like Googling for your life or.
Yeah, but it's ultra complex too. You know, if you never set one up, but it kind of feels like trying to build a house and you have to get 400 permits, and then the city's like a year out on some of the permits, and then you find like a saber-toothed tiger tooth in the ground, and so like you got to stop digging. It's like you got to get a permit now for like saber-toothed tiger. Like you know what I mean? It just feels like so many roadblocks in life now.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I've been a little less feeling that way. I've been a little out of the Facebook and Instagram, TikTok life. But I was in it with like TikTok. Like that was a spiral of weirdness. And I know other people were going through it because I could like see other people's videos about it. So I don't think we're alone.
Well, but that's the thing is you can't talk to anybody about this. If somebody works a 9 to 5 job and they just go to work and then they come home and watch TV, you can't talk to them about it because they don't understand. They don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But if you talk to somebody, like I say, that's trying to build a house, they're like, this is crazy. Like, I can't get anything done. Like, the city is just roadblocking me. Or if you talk to somebody who's, say, an entrepreneur, like it's people who are doing, I don't want to say it the wrong way, but people who are doing things that aren't scripted, basically. Like going to work is kind of scripted, right? You just go in there and you do your job for the most part. Not everybody's job is scripted, but it's people who are trying to do things that aren't, I guess, if you're being road mapped. But it's the funny thing is I've been blaming life and the complexities that life is giving us, but the funny part is it's not true because I'm working on this car right now and I can't figure out the problem to get this car running right. And this car was built in 1978. So it's not as if this hasn't existed. You know what I mean? It's like it's been around. It's been around for a while, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Does that make sense? It's like it makes you wonder. Like, what is it? Is it what we're doing? Because in 1978, I feel like there weren't so many permits you need to build a house. I feel like it was just easier. But even think about the Native Americans. They just pitched teepees and they just walked around. They did whatever they want. They didn't have to get a hold of people and buy the land, and
Yeah,
so things have gotten more complex.
for sure.
And I feel like that's what it is. I feel like in 1990 you could contact somebody and say, "Hey, I'm trying to use your service."
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, yes, definitely. Things were more that way. And I think businesses wanted it that way.
Well,
Like they
yeah,
wanted you to feel that welcome, I'll help you with anything and figure this all out together. And that's just, I feel like if you find a company that's doing that, you're like, whoa, I just have to tell you how amazing this is. Because customer service in any way, shape, or form it seems like it's dying.
Yeah, and I guess it's interesting because I'm working on this car and it feels defeating. But I feel like that's understandable. Maybe because there's nothing and nobody involved. But like you and I have talked about where we're going to doctors and they don't even call you back, like ever.
Yeah.
Not that they don't call you back within a couple weeks or a month. They just never call you back. Or you go into a doctor and you talk to them about an issue and they're like, don't know. Like, I have no idea. And then, like, you have to figure it out.
That's pretty much, yeah, the way it is, where they treat you like a whiny woman or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's, I guess I'm trying to understand, like, I don't blame the car because it's just a physical thing. But then I do get caught up in people, and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe people have always been this way, but I've just never noticed. I don't know.
Mm, I mean, it's hard to say, right? Because I had an endocrinologist that I could talk to anything about and bring anything to, and she would literally spend an hour with you, research, call her whoever doctor friends were. Have you ever heard of this? Have you ever heard of that? Like someone who really wanted to figure shit out. Maybe she was unusual and I didn't know it at the time, but I don't think it's always been this way, but I can only base it on my experiences. I feel like you used to be able to get assistance, but I honestly can't tell you I ever tried to start a business on Facebook or
Yeah.
Instagram before. I do think that we have made things way more difficult than they used to be. There's always a form to fill out, and you're this is a high volume process, so we probably won't get back to you for 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, things are more complex
Well,
for
what
sure.
about, so we set up a bank account?
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago that you could walk into a bank and be like, "Hi, I would like to talk to somebody about opening a bank account." They go, "Oh, well, go ahead and have a seat, and I'll give you the next." And then you just open a bank account.
Yes.
But I mean, I can't say for sure, but I feel like in 2008, I'm pretty sure I set up a checking account for my business without any paperwork, without an EIN, without like any legal documents. I just set up a business account. And now, so we set up the bank account, and it's like now you got to schedule out like a week just to talk to the person. And then when we go in and we sit with the guy,
For
it's like
an
two
hour
or
and a
three
half.
hours. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, and he's asking you questions that don't even matter. And the government's all up in your business. I mean, but you can't even go take, I think it's $1,000 out of your bank account without signing a form. The government wants to know when you take more than 1,000. It might even be 600 now, but it was $1,000 like last year. If you went in and withdrew $1,000, you had to like sign it a paper and say like why. I don't know. Maybe it's not why, but this is like I can't just take my money out of a bank account for like without letting people know. And this is what we're talking about, right? And like paying taxes as a business is like it gets insane.
Yeah. Yeah, everything's complex.
But that's a good example too, right? Like if you're talking about like, oh man, taxes are such a pain, and then average Joe that does like a 1040 easy is like, they're not that hard. I do them myself on you know on a piece of paper, and it's like you don't understand. This is elevated in levels,
Yeah.
so it's kind of hard to. I feel like it's definitely. I mean, those examples I just gave her. It's definitely harder to get things done. But I don't know. I guess I'm like I'm at the point right now where I'm trying to find balance where if I'm working on things that aren't getting done, this is how many things I feel like I have in my life that don't get done. Like 90% of everything I do, just nothing gets done. And so like I'm trying to find balance right now by doing things that are easy, mixing things in that are easy. Because I mean, like growing hydroponics might not be easy. Like most people, not most, some people might not understand how to do it. But for some reason, like I feel like if that's something you do and set your mind to, like you'll just figure it out. But there's other things in life, like we did Amazon. We did a trademark with Amazon, and we got a response from AI that just said like, "Hey, your request is." I mean, what did it even say? It just said nonsense. It said we need information, and I was like, well, information about what? Like, it didn't say anything about anything.
Yeah, it didn't request the information it needed. It was very like leaving you in a I have no idea what to do state.
Yeah, and this is Amazon just a couple months ago went from there was a girl that called me and I talked to her on the phone. And then I felt like when I was talking about customer service to a customer service agent, there was somebody on the other line, I'm pretty sure. But all of a sudden, this month, we registered this trademark and AI was like, sorry, we can't do nothing about something. And I'm like, what? And so we just left it. And AI responded to us like 3 times. And finally, the third time, AI is like, you need to give us information. And I just responded. So this is like the third response. And I finally responded to them and I said, you need to tell me what you need information about. And then AI came back to us and they're like, oh, you're approved. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But then like a couple weeks ago, I listed a product on Amazon, and then Amazon only has competitors that have like 10 pieces of this product, and it's like say $5. But I listed 50 pieces, and so it's more expensive because there's more pieces, but it's cheaper than anybody else on Amazon. And then Amazon said, "Hey, you can't list this because it's too expensive." And so that's when I contacted customer service, and customer service was like, well, it was just AI, and it was like, it just started saying like, maybe you need to check the pricing regulations in your area and like local laws. Maybe your local laws aren't letting you post this on Amazon. And I was like, what are you talking about? And that's when I asked, I go, am I talking to a human? And it wouldn't answer me, wouldn't give me the answer to that question. So how, if you can't talk to somebody and somebody's just like, hey, you can't post this because it's too expensive, and you're like, it's actually not, you're looking at it the wrong way. But you can't say that to anybody.
Yeah.
And so now I just don't have that product listed because I can't talk to anybody. So I think that's a great example of I just can't get anything done. And, well, never mind that I spent time to list this product. I took pictures and wrote descriptions. I did all this, and then they're just like, "No, you can't have this on here because it's too expensive." And it's like, it's cheap. It's the cheapest on Amazon. It's the cheapest per part on Amazon, and they're like, "No, it's too expensive." Okay, and now I just gave up, which like I'm learning to give up, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Well, you don't really have a choice. That's what I did with that TikTok thing. I like kept it going for a while, and then I would try, well, I'll try a different account. And
Yeah.
I mean, there comes a point where you're spinning your own wheels, and like how much energy are you going to put into something that just isn't going to work? Yeah, I mean,
Well, but in your case, it was even worse because they took money from you.
yeah.
They took money and product from you without you couldn't talk to
I
anybody
did get
about
my
it either.
money back. I don't remember how. It was all very ridiculous.
But yeah, it's all about how much time.
Yeah, tons of time.
And
hours upon days upon
yeah.
days.
Well, no, okay. So here's another example of like what is going on. It actually worked out, but I sell these things on Etsy all the time, and so I know exactly how much they weigh. And I actually they weigh more than they actually do. But Etsy notified me, and they're like, "Hey, the post office it corrected your error, and it charged you another $8 for shipping because it was you should have put in 2 pounds instead of 4 ounces." And I was like, no, I ship these all the time. They're 4 ounces. And so Etsy won't help you with this, even though you bought it through Etsy. They're like, you have to talk to the post office.
Oh God.
So I'm like, well, I'm like a big principal kind of guy. And so I'm like, you're not going to charge me. They charged me $10 instead of $11 instead of 4. And so I contact the post office, and the post office is like, well, we need this like APO number. We need all this. And so like I had to look it all up. And I'm like, dude, how much work am I putting in for $6, $7? But that's the thing, is like, you have to weigh this out, is like you have to start giving up, I feel like, or you're going to waste your life.
For sure.
So I wasted probably it probably took me 30 to 45 minutes to submit this claim for my $7. So I just made like less than minimum wage,
Yeah.
but what are you going to, like, you got to make that decision.
The thing is, though, is in that circumstance, you have to think, what if this happens again? Like, so, I mean, it is a balance, but
I think that's where these people, like Rite Aid or whatever, is like, okay, well, somebody steals $50 worth of stuff. Do we confront them about it because they might sue us? I think you just let go of the $50. But look at the problems it causes.
Yeah.
When you don't pursue the person.
Yeah.
And so but that, I'm sure that's what they go through too.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're weighing it out, and they're like, but look at them now. They're shutting stores down. They can't stay open. But this is the whole point of this conversation, is look how crazy the world gets.
Yeah.
I'm sure Rite Aid's talking about the same thing. They're like, how crazy is it when, like, we can't stop shoplifting because we have to pay lawsuits and we have to deal with kickback from telling somebody they can't take our stuff without paying.
Yeah, that's an insane concept to me.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't long ago when somebody'd walk out of a store with something, and like, if you ran, you got tackled.
I think you should be confronted.
Yeah, it's, you and I talk about this. This all goes back to the McDonald's coffee spill in that lady's lap.
Yeah, I knew the minute that happened.
Yeah, she got a settlement. But I was talking to one of my kids' friends' dads, and he's like, "Wait, did you know that coffee was actually really hot?" I'm like, dude, doesn't matter how hot the coffee is. The coffee could literally be boiling in the cup. It doesn't matter. It could be lava. And if you ordered lava in a cup and then you spilled it on your leg, that's on you, because you put it between your legs.
Yeah.
If you order a cup of lava, you be really careful with the lava. You know what I mean?
Now, if you ordered a cup of ice water and they gave you a hot cup of coffee, even still, you should know. But it's all fucked up. It's all kind of fucked up.
Well,
we don't have to take responsibility for ourselves, because certainly you put hot coffee between your legs. You've taken you've made a decision to put something hot between your legs.
Yeah. But then that's where this like shoplifting thing comes in. We can't do anything about shoplifters because they're like, well, if you hurt me, then I'm going to sue you for hurting me. It's like,
I think this just is kind of talks about the whole problem is accountability. Nobody accepts responsibility or takes accountability, so they don't care if you go to some AI nowhere land with their customer service. They don't care. They don't hold themselves accountable for or responsible for anything.
well, but the problem with that is, like, these companies have become too big to fail, right? They're too big to fail, and so then they're like, I mean, hey, we can cut costs here. But I guess they're doing the same thing, right? They're like, do I talk to the post office for 30 to 45 minutes for $7, or do I just let it go? And I think they're like, do I provide customer service and lose money potentially, or do I just not have any customer service? And I guess the problem is, at some point it might make sense, but I don't know who's crunching those numbers.
Well, I think if you're in the back office just looking at numbers, you could make sense of not having customer service if it's just a bottom dollar. But I mean, I think Andy is a good example, Andy Frizella, of saying, like, explaining why accountability and responsibility is important. And when you take accountability for yourself and you start bettering yourself, it makes a difference in the world. This is the same with a business. If you have a business that is not accepting responsibility or bettering itself, it impacts our world. It just is.
Well, but I think it's short sightedness to think about, hey, if I don't have customer service, I'm going to make money. But your long term is, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm out of there, and I'm not going to tell. In fact, it's not that I'm not going to tell people to use your stuff. I'm going to tell people to not use your stuff. And that word just spreads. And when you get burned by a business, you don't ever want to go back. Like
Yeah.
Facebook could be like, hey, everybody, sorry, we've got customer service now. Like, I'm done. I'm out of. Like, can you imagine TikTok was like, hey, Carol, we made some changes. You
Yeah.
got, no, I'm not. You got like, no, I'm so bitter about that.
Yeah, I will. No, I'm done with TikTok.
But it's like, where's the good service, you know? And I guess the thing about Amazon is it's such a powerhouse that you have to be like an abuse victim. But it
You
just,
know,
why not? Like, listen, if you have, I don't even know what Amazon's worth, billions, trillions. If you have that much money, if you are that big of a business, why wouldn't you just be like, let's just lose 100,000 or five, let's lose $1 million a year on some great customer service. Like, because if you invested that million a year in great customer service, the thing is like you're making an investment in yourself and you're going to blow up because everybody's going to be like, dude, this is amazing. They're amazing to sell with. This is amazing.
yeah.
Like that's how you grow things.
I think part of the problem too is there may be, like, the right people don't know how bad this is yet. Hopefully. Like, I mean, who do you tell that this fake AI thing is not helping customers? Although we eventually got what we needed in that situation.
Yeah, but look at I can't. How many people are being told you can't sell a product because it costs too much, and they're all like, no, you're looking at this wrong. I'm selling 100 of them, and they're cheaper. And AI is just like, no. And so, I mean, I know I'm only one guy and it's a small product, but what if you did that 1,000 times? Now there's 1,000 products you're not selling,
Yeah.
all because of some miscommunication,
Yeah,
misunderstanding.
I feel like it's just a common theme throughout all of the world right now.
Yeah. Well, what is it? It's not listening. Like nobody. I think that's the problem. Is like I feel like I'm not heard. I'm not heard
Well,
with
you're not
doctors.
heard or understood at all.
Is it the understanding or is it just being heard? It's the same thing, isn't it? Because if you hear me, you should understand me.
Well, if they hear you, not necessarily. I don't think that's true.
I think that's the definition of hearing me, don't you?
No, I think people can hear and not understand.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I mean that by, like, you get an email and then you email back. They've heard from you. So that's what I'm meaning by hear, not like your definition, which I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think there's like, what does hearing mean?
Yeah,
Maybe what we're
it's
talking
just a
about.
fine line. I meant, like, they get your communication and read it, the AI thing, get your email and then
Yeah,
replies to it. So they heard you.
yeah, it depends how you look at it, but it whatever. It's the same thing. I think is you're not heard or you're not understood. And even with doctors, like is what we were talking about. Like I have too many red blood cells, And I'm like the only genius that's ever been born that's figured out that like you can take just red blood cells. You don't have to take all my blood. You can just take red blood cells, and that helps me. This is idiocracy to me. I have too many red blood cells. Why don't we just take the red blood cells? Because why are you taking white blood cells or platelets? Why are you taking any of that stuff when they're in range? It's just my red blood cells that are out of range. Why don't we take just the red blood cells? But I go to a phlebotomy place and they're like, yeah, no, we don't do it. We just take all the blood. And it's like, why? What is happening? Red Cross takes just red blood cells. So it's I mean it's obviously a possibility. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens, and you guys are probably I don't even know how much this phlebotomy place charges, but it's I mean I'm sure it's fucking so much money it's unbelievable. But you guys can't afford a red blood cell machine. But what's going on? What's happening? How come this is what we're talking about, right? Is like not being heard, not being understood. Like there's but the thing is I thought about that and that's the problem is you've got maybe that's what everything breaks down to is you got somebody in between you. You've got AI and then Amazon. And it's the person that's in between that's the problem. You know, and I don't want to say anything too bad about this phlebotomy place because the nurses are really, really nice people. But it's like you're talking to a nurse when they're, if I was a nurse there, I'd be like, yeah, we just don't do double red blood cells. We don't. But they're the problem because like I need to talk to somebody who runs this place because this would help everybody that has too many red blood cells. Everybody. This is what they need. This should be common sense. You know, AI is like, this is common sense. Like I'm selling things cheaper when you say they're more expensive. But I can't talk to AI about it. I need to talk to like the next person up. I need to talk to your manager. You know what I mean? Like that's what we used to do, I guess, right?
Yeah.
You're too dumb. I need to talk to your manager.
Yeah.
But,
it is what we used to do.
So, but I mean, that's the problem is we put people in between. You know, I mean, maybe people are protecting themselves because it would be
Well,
pretty
they're
sweet.
also just doing their job. And I'm sure they're like, yeah, this guy. What does he know? He's not a nurse. I went to school.
Yeah. Well, but that's common sense is a problem. Like that's what I'm saying. Like how I don't know why nobody else has figured this out. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess we're just along for the ride.
Yeah. Well, what are we doing here? We're at 28 minutes. I guess we were gonna blow your socks off in the beginning like we did.
Yeah, so I know you're still watching now because
yeah.
we hooked you in today.
So we're just gonna change the introduction a little bit, but we're also gonna try to do a shorter duration, maybe the hour-long videos scaring people off. We don't know. But this is episode 41, all right?
41.
41. And so we're trying to get past this. You know, our average is probably like 10 views or something, 15 views. We're trying to kind of break past that. And I think 15 views, we're getting a couple minutes in is the average. So we're not killing it, but hey, we're having fun.
We are having a ball. We talked about that, which is the important part.
Yeah, and we, you know, if we do a shorter one with better, like, if we make some changes and nothing changes, I think we'll probably just go back, don't you think?
Of course. Yeah.
Just go back to whatever we feel like. But, you know, if anybody's watching this and you got a comment, like, we know that we should have, like, camera angle switching and, like, keeping you engaged. And, you know, there's some stuff we could do, but we just, we're a couple simple people just having a conversation and hoping that people want to hear what we have to say. But if you have some comments on what we could do to make this better and more entertaining or retain some viewers, you know, leave a comment.
Be happy to hear from you.
You know, we're on Spotify and YouTube, Flirting with the Realities. So we'll leave this one at like 30 minutes and see if anything changes, I guess. Okay, bye.